not supposed to have this information. This is unbelievable. Somebody has messed up.
Developing right now at 5, a CBS 13 investigation launches a state-level probe into one of the 3 major credit reporting bureaus. Your personal and private information may be caught right in the middle.
CBS 13 investigative reporter John Chrysos discovers what appears to be a data breach involving a major agency responsible for tracking your personal and financial information.
By now we're all familiar with hackers breaking into systems and stealing sensitive information from retailers like they did with Target, Home Depot, Shaw's, and Michael's. But this apparent breach involving Equifax is very different. It looks like they just gave the information away. A woman right here in Maine got hundreds of credit reports in the mail, all addressed to her, but belonging to other people all over the country.
You have to see it to believe it.
This is the deluge of mail Katie Manning says was waiting for her Monday night when she got home from work. Here's one pile, and another, and one more. More than 300 pieces of mail, all from the credit reporting company Equifax. It's one of 3 credit bureaus responsible for keeping track of all your personal and private information.
I checked my credit report the other day online with Equifax. That was it. And next thing I know, I have 300 pieces of mail sitting in my mailbox.
She was waiting for her credit report to arrive.
It says, Dear Katie.
In fact, every single one of these is addressed to her, but they're not hers. Instead, she got other people's credit reports.
This one is not mine.
Now, names, social security numbers, dates of birth, current and previous addresses, bank and loan account numbers, all stacked up on a kitchen table in Biddeford.
I'm not supposed to have this information. This is unbelievable. Somebody has messed up.
So we called Equifax with some tough questions, hoping for some answers. Equifax Vice President of Corporate Communications told me on the phone, quote, "This is a high priority. Obviously, this is a serious situation. I'm going to get our security and forensics teams involved." Equifax says it doesn't yet know if this is a widespread problem or how it happened. We also called some of the victims in this stack to let them know. From Connecticut to New Jersey, all the way down to Florida, victims confirm all of this information, their information, is accurate, but it's supposed to be private. What kind of damage could a bad guy do with all of this information?
On the financial side, there's damage that would involve setting up a new account, getting a loan in someone's name. All of those require a social security number.
Jane Carpenter is an identity theft expert who worked in the Attorney General's office and founded Maine Identity Services. She says someone could also steal tax refunds and medical information with what's in these stacks. How uncomfortable are you seeing all of this information being sent out?
I'm just wincing. I'm really, really, really uncomfortable. How wonderful that this woman contacted you, because it was totally the right thing to do. It's what you would hope everybody would do.
But back in Biddeford, Manning says she knows not everyone would do what she did.
Well, if I have this much information on somebody, where is all mine? Who has mine?
Equifax says teams are working right now to sort out what happened. We will certainly continue to push for answers. And Kim, we really do want to find out what happened here.
It's absolutely shocking. And of course you want to know why. What's next at this point?
Yeah, so many agencies say they are shocked by this. We worked with Manning to report this to the Maine Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection. That agency actually picked up all of those credit reports this afternoon. That agency is launching a regulatory investigation. And it's interesting to note this story started with a call to our On Your Side tip line. So if you have something you think we need to know about, please give us a call, 228-7713. CBS 13 is on your side.
Tonight, CBS 13 is digging up new details after hundreds of confidential credit reports were sent in the mail to a woman right here in southern Maine. CBS 13 broke this story last week of a security breach involving Equifax, one of the major credit reporting agencies. Investigative reporter John Chrysos discovers the company is now admitting it's responsible for making a mistake.
And for the past week, I've been trying to get answers from Equifax about how a woman in Maine ended up with more than 300 credit reports that aren't hers. But the Atlanta-based company isn't responding to my phone calls and emails. However, documents filed with the state by lawyers for Equifax are now filling in some of the blanks.
I'm not supposed to have this information. This is unbelievable.
That was last week. Katie Manning telling 13 Investigates about the hundreds of credit reports she got in the mail, all addressed to her, but belonging to strangers across the country. These envelopes on her kitchen table, stuffed with full names, social security numbers, birthdays, and credit card account information.
Somebody has messed up.
And now we know who that someone is. We obtained this document filed with the Office of the Maine Attorney General and the Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection. In the letter, a lawyer for the credit reporting agency Equifax writes, the inadvertent disclosure of information was the result of a technical error, adding, there's no evidence of any criminal access.
Everyone's hyper-focused on the security of computers and softwares and having encrypted thumb drives and making sure that our systems are safe, but you can still print out all those documents.
Portland attorney Sigmund Schutz isn't representing Equifax in this case, but has advised many companies on what to do after a security breach and says it appears Equifax is taking the proper steps. Schutz says Equifax should also be working to get to the root cause of that technical error.
Sending 300 separate letters to the same address, one random individual, you might hope that that would set off a red flag somewhere for some checking.
I wanted to ask Equifax some follow-up questions since our story aired last week. But multiple calls and emails to Vice President of Communications and Public Relations, Tim Klein, over several days were not returned. Hey Tim, it's John Chrysos once again calling from CBS 13 and Fox 23. Just wanted to check in one more time with you before we air the story. The letter to the state indicates Equifax continues to investigate this incident and will mail notifications to anyone who's impacted.
One hopes that this experience then makes it even more unlikely that someone else will have the same experience.
The Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection says all the credit reports were given back to Equifax on Monday. The state continues to investigate, and I'm told Equifax could face state and federal fines. John Chrysos, CBS 13 News. Tonight, there's a major settlement between Maine and the 3 credit reporting agencies. The agencies have now agreed to change the way they do business to better protect your private information and to produce more accurate credit reports. The announcement comes just 2 months after a CBS 13 investigation exposed a big mistake by one of the bureaus. In March, Equifax sent a Maine woman hundreds of confidential credit files that weren't hers. And tonight, we also have new information on that case and what went wrong.
The sheer volume, 312 envelopes received by the woman in Biddeford, set this case apart from any that we had dealt with before.
Superintendent of the Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection, Will Lund, talking for the first time on camera about this, the massive amount of mail sent to Katie Manning in March.
It's people's personal information, their credit report, their social security, birthdays, full names, current address, previous addresses.
Envelope after envelope stuffed with the private information of complete strangers, all sent to her by the credit reporting company Equifax.
Every time I try to get to a representative, it disconnected the line.
Manning's next call was to us, 13 on your side. That's when we met up with her and connected her with state regulators.
Releasing this much information inadvertently is not a small matter. It's a major matter.
Lund picked up and inventoried each envelope, finding, he says, they belong to consumers in at least 5 states, including 5 from Maine. More than 300 Equifax credit reports. Equifax Vice President of Corporate Communications Tim Klein told me on the phone at the time, this is a serious situation. He's since stopped responding to my requests for additional details, so we used Maine's right to know law to get all letters and emails between Lund and lawyers for Equifax. 2 days after our story, Equifax filed a notice of a security breach, citing a technical error. And now a new email sent to Lund on Monday is revealing even more. What has the conclusion been of what went wrong and what caused what they called a technical error?
This was a computer error. The company attempted to upgrade or put a new process in place that had to do with addressing envelopes. It malfunctioned in this particular case.
And Lund says Manning wasn't the only one to get other people's credit files in this mailing mix-up. In fact, according to that email, the software problem stretched 2 days before the company reverted back to its prior application.
This was the largest case. There were similar situations simultaneously in other states. They were a much smaller scale in the handful of cases.
Credit rating.
Attorney General Janet Mills says this case highlights ongoing concerns with the three main credit reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. She and attorneys general in 30 other states are announcing a $6 million settlement with the agencies to settle claims the agencies violated consumer protection laws.
This is about changing behavior.
Under the terms of the settlement, the agencies must make a number of changes to their business practices, including implementing a faster process for handling complicated disputes.
Particularly when it involves identity theft, fraud, or mixed up files. As you know, there have been mixed up files and people have been sent erroneous credit information or credit information about different people, other people.
Mills says she's hopeful the settlement will help ease the concerns of consumers, giving you more accurate reports and improved communication.
We're going to monitor this thing for the next 3 years and to make sure we keep their feet to the fire, hold their feet to the fire, and change their corporate behaviors to protect our consumers.
As for that so-called technical error, a lawyer for Equifax told the state the company will continue to take steps to minimize the risk of similar events occurring in the future.
You've been following this story well, John. Now, will Equifax face any fines or penalties?
I asked that question and state regulators say no because they didn't find any criminal or civil wrongdoing or gross negligence, but they are right now in the middle of what they call a routine compliance check. And because of our stories, they'll be asking some extra questions about information security and quality control.